Good morning and welcome to Our Issues Milwaukee. I'm your host, Andrea Williams. The spring elections are coming up on Tuesday, April 5th, and one of the most talked about races is that for Milwaukee mayor. Incumbent Tom Barrett is seeking a fourth term, and running against him is 8th District Alderman Robert Donovan. Both candidates are here today, and we'll start with incumbent Tom Barrett, who was elected Milwaukee's 40th mayor in 2004. Mayor Barrett grew up on Milwaukee's west side. He graduated college and law school from UW-Madison and was a member of both the Wisconsin State Assembly and Senate and served 5 terms in the U.S. Congress. Good morning, Mayor.
It's great to be on your show.
Thank you for being back.
Sure.
You've been here several times and really appreciate you giving our viewers an opportunity to know where you stand as you go up for re-election. Let's start with crime and public safety. Needless to say, in 2015, there were a larger number of homicides than we have seen in the past, the highest since 1993. And there's been a surge in carjackings, and Neighborhood Scout, they're ranking Milwaukee number 15 on the list of the 100 most dangerous cities in America. Talk about that and what your plans are, if reelected, to deal with these issues.
Well, public safety is my number one concern. It's a concern every single day, not just something I'm going to focus on at the beginning of the term, but something I focus on every day. And we did have an increase in homicides last year, but that followed 4 of the 6 lowest years that we have seen for homicides in the last generation. So 2015 was a problem year, there's no question about it. We have seen an increase in car thefts as well. But I'm not going to be critical of our police, because our police have done a phenomenal job. The number of arrests that have been made by Milwaukee police in the last 4 to 5 years is 300%. So we're picking up these kids, and a lot of them are kids.
They are.
And I'm concerned about the entire juvenile justice system, because there's a problem if our police are catching them, but they're back out on the street,
Doing the same thing all over again.
Doing the same thing. And I've talked to the judges, I've talked to the county, I've talked to the district attorney. We have to find a way that there are meaningful consequences for young people, all people, but certainly young people who are committing these crimes. So I take that very, very seriously. And we put a lot of attention on doing that. And again, the police have done a phenomenal job in arresting them. We have to make sure the rest of the criminal justice system is acting in accordance with that.
Yeah, and when we look at crimes that are committed, I think that it really leads to some of the issues that it stems, I should say, from some of the issues that we talk about on this show each and every week, which goes to poverty, joblessness, all of those things play a role. So looking at economic development and the creation of jobs, crime and negative statistics can sometimes be a deterrent for companies that want to come into the city, right?
Right. Well, let me share some good news with you first. And the good news is that at the end of 2015, there were more Milwaukee residents that were working than at a similar point at any time since 2001. More Milwaukee residents had jobs. So that's really good news. Now, wages are an issue. But another really piece of good news is the great job that we've done getting people health insurance. And the President of the United States was just here congratulating Milwaukee as doing the best job of any of the 20 cities that competed to see who could do a better job in getting people health insurance. So if a person has a job and they have health insurance, that's going to go a long way. And I've made that a huge priority. I've also made it a priority, and you talk about youth crime, to make sure that young people have jobs. Every person I've ever met can remember their first job.
Yeah.
Everybody.
And you have the Earn and Learn program.
The Earn and Learn is near and dear to my heart, because I think that we have to create hope and opportunity in the lives of these young people. And I literally call businesses and foundations and ask them for $10, $15, $30, $50,000 to put young people to work. That's part of it. So you have to have a strong police presence, but it can't be just the police presence. It has to be summer jobs. It has to be tutoring programs. It has to be the churches, the community groups, and that's the approach I've taken, is all of the above. We have to have everybody as part of this to reduce crime in the city of Milwaukee.
Yeah, and speaking of the police presence, talk about the importance of that police-community relation. You are really passionate about the residency issue.
Right. This is an area where Alderman Donovan and I disagree sharply. I believe that police officers, firefighters, public servants should be part of our community. And you look at Baltimore, where last summer you had riots, and 79% of the police officers of Baltimore don't live in Baltimore. You look at Ferguson, Missouri, majority of those don't live in Ferguson. I don't want our police to be just coming into work. I was at a community meeting just 2 nights ago, and one captain was from my neighborhood, another captain was from the Sherman Park neighborhood. I love having the police and firefighters as part of this city.
Yeah.
Alderman Donovan is fighting for the people who want to leave this city. I'm fighting for the people who want to stay in this city. And that, to me, is a critical difference. And it's a critical difference when it comes to police-community relations.
And since we're talking about the police, Chief Ed Flynn invited the Department of Justice to investigate the Milwaukee Police Department. And this is a process that could take up to 2 years, and public forums have been held. I'm just interested in knowing your thoughts on this and being able to use some of the information that has been disclosed at these
I'm very
forums.
supportive of the Chief's efforts to do this. This is something we had talked about. I had been involved directly in the conversations with the U.S. Department of Justice prior to that request. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to address issues that we may have in the community. Again, it's important for me and it's important for Milwaukee that this be a city where residents can work with and trust the police, but it also has to be a city where the police can work with and trust the community. It has to be a two-way street.
That transparency is important.
Yeah, it has to be a two-way street, and that's something I'm committed to. We're doing a lot of training to make sure that officers have that training, but it's about creating trust. We have a safer city the more the community and the police department can work together.
All right, so I want to talk about jobs and the potential of jobs, especially when you look at the number of projects that are underway around the city, including the new Bucks Arena. You've got Phase 2 of West Lawn in District 2, the Northwestern Mutual Development, the list goes on. These are all huge projects, and you have hopes that they are going to provide much needed jobs for us.
And I'll go even further than that. Northwestern Mutual has done a phenomenal job on its new iconic headquarters, and there's going to be a new addition beyond that. The diversity that you have seen on that work site, you would be proud of. Everybody would be proud of. I'm proud of it. It's exactly what we want. And I was just at a meeting at the new Bucks Arena, or for the new Bucks Arena, with a lot of potential contractors and subcontractors. And I made it clear there. I said, it shouldn't be a surprise to anybody that as the mayor of the city of Milwaukee, I want the people who are building the new arena to look like the people who live in the city of Milwaukee.
That's right, absolutely. And with all of the things that we've mentioned, the Bucks Arena and Northwestern Mutual, all these wonderful things are downtown, and you can see the beautiful lakefront and all of these things. When you think about the downtown area, everything's going on a very positive note, but you have your opponent who's saying that there are neighborhoods that are bleak and are much needed attention, and how do we spread some of that?
And I'd love to address that. And I'll give you an example of how it's happening right now, and I'll go back to Northwestern Mutual. If you go to Century City, which is the old A.O. Smith site near 35th and Capitol, you've got dozens of residents of that neighborhood who now have jobs fabricating the glass that's going to go on the new Northwestern Mutual skyscraper. So NML has done a great job in reaching into the neighborhood to create jobs in the neighborhoods. My difference, again, with the alderman here is in the budgets that I have advanced, where we put $30 million into fighting foreclosures, where we put $20 million into neighborhood libraries, he has on almost every budget voted no. No. And so he can be critical, but then the question is, well, what are you doing then? What are you doing? So I'm putting my money where my mouth is, where right there in those two projects is $50 million, again, for the foreclosure crisis, for neighborhood libraries, and you mentioned West Lawn. I worked to secure a $30 million federal grant for that. So $80 million just in the last couple of years is coming from my administration directly into the neighborhoods. And unfortunately, that's happened with no help from a guy who's criticizing the city right now. And that's where we have a difference. I really think that we've got bright days ahead of us. Yes, do we have problems in the city? Absolutely yes. But this city has not gone to hell in a handbasket. It hasn't. And are there challenges? Of course there are challenges. But we're fighting those challenges. Yeah,
and some of those challenges specifically affect the African American community. When you look at the statistics, you have Wisconsin, with the highest number of African American men behind bars, and then you've also got African American men having the highest number of unemployment. What do we do in scenarios where individuals are maybe coming out of the prison system, trying to find work that is steady and going to pay them enough to help provide for their families.
And we have been on that issue as well. We have a program, Compete Milwaukee, it's a transitional jobs program, because I recognize we have people coming out of institutions, and what people need in their lives, they need some positive momentum. So it's a transitional jobs program, 6 months, and we have them work with the Department of Public Works or other departments so that they can get that positive momentum that they need. We try to make sure that they have that training and ultimately education that goes along with it, because that's a big part of what we're talking about as well.
All right, and quickly we got to talk about the streetcar. It has been a conversation for quite some time. Alderman Donovan has been opposed to the streetcar for probably the last 6 years, I believe, and you are clearly for it. And there has been individuals on the show that talk about the importance of keeping young talent here in the city, and that's pretty much your perspective.
Well, to me, this is about economic development, and you cannot name a major American city that's growing, or Canadian city for that matter, that doesn't have some sort of fixed transit. And you can name cities that don't have it, like Fresno or Topeka. I want to compete with Minneapolis, with Seattle, with Denver, with Portland. I don't want to be competing with Topeka or Fresno. And I want the talent here, and I want it to extend into the neighborhoods as well. And that's something that's important to me. But it's about economic development. That's what this is about.
And so when you look at that streetcar, Donovan says that it's taking you where the government wants you to go, but ultimately it's 19th century technology. What do you say to that?
I can tell you, just in the last several months, you've got the old post office that sold for $2 million over the asking price. You've got the Grand Avenue Mall that sold for $7 million more than it did last year. There's a new site that hopefully Johnson Controls will take. All of those are on the streetcar line. All of them are so hot because people recognize that it's going to, the potential, the economic growth potential there is huge. And I want to have more economic growth. I don't want this to be a city that's turning off the lights at 5 o'clock. That's not who I want this to be. But I am investing in the future of this city because I want the talent to be here, and I want there to be jobs in the neighborhoods as well.
All right, and wrapping up, if you can think off the top of your head, what's your greatest accomplishment? What are you most proud of as the mayor of Milwaukee?
Well, if you look at the Menominee Valley, when I came in, that was really a wasteland, if you will, and you needed an all-terrain vehicle to go from one end of the valley to the other. It's now teeming with jobs. We've seen a dramatic drop in our teen pregnancy rate. We've seen a reduction in our infant mortality rate. So we have made progress. We have made a lot of progress, and we've done a good job of controlling our internal costs as well. If you look at cities like Chicago, they just had to go out and borrow $220 million for the pension. You don't ever see headlines like that coming out of city government under my leadership. We're good fiscal stewards as well.
All right. Well, I certainly appreciate you coming by. Yeah. It's been a busy time for you, I'm sure, in doing your mayoral duties and then campaigning on top of that.
But thank you very much.
I do appreciate you. Good. Thank you so much. Mayor Tom Barrett is seeking a 4th term in the upcoming election on Tuesday, April 5th. And for more information, you can log on to city.milwaukee.gov or call 414-286-VOTE. When we return to Our Issues Milwaukee, we're going to meet the mayor's opponent, 8th District Alderman Bob Donovan. We'll be right back.